am I up?
No, it should be close to your page. It should be live. Let's take
We'll get started in a minute. Bris, I'll probably give it a second to start. Grab a coffee or tea.
Exciting day.
When you take off your top, it's really long. Probably supposed to put on top of the beam over there for now, so we get covered. Eagles. While we're waiting for the babies to be ready and the bowl to be ready, Rabbi Grossman, a very talented rabbi, volunteered to play for us some free Bris music to get us in the mood, to get the right mindset for the Bris.
I'm so proud of
Good morning, good morning.
Guess what? So sweet.
I'd like to have everyone's attention for a minute. This is now overdue. I'm going to turn this thing off. While we're just finishing getting ready, while we're finishing getting ready, I'm going to share with you something which I did not know about Bris, even though I've had a Bris, and even though I was involved in this giving I did a Bris, and it was not something I did not think about or realize till 2 days ago about Bris Milah. And that is when Avram, our forefather Abraham, he was 99 years old, so I was aware of, when Hashem told him, time for a Bris. But it never hit me that until then, at that point, until that point, hello, can you hear me? Great. Until that point, if you would have looked at Abraham's life, he was a pretty nice guy. He took care of strangers. He welcomed everybody in, adopted people. He was a pretty, if you had to think like a perfect human being, I would have look at Abraham. He's nice, he's kind, he cares about people, he takes care of people. He's a perfect person. But yet, Hashem tells him, Abraham, it's time for you to become perfect. He already was perfect. He was amazing. He was moral. He cared about people. People were hungry. Anything you can imagine, any paradigm for chesed, for kindness was Abraham. And most of what we talk about was before he was 99 years old. And still, Hashem tells him, Abraham, it's time for you to become perfect. I go, how are you going to become perfect? By having a bris. Rabbi Hirsch, who was a rabbi in Germany in the 1800s, he points out that with all of Abraham's wonderfulness, with all of his kindness, all of his morality, until he had a bris, he wasn't perfect. He said, everybody, he was talking about the Jewish nation, but it hit me like I heard that story hundreds of times. I learned that story, studied that story in depth, not in depth, with the Medrash, without Medrash, with Rashi, with Gemara, all over the place. And Abraham seemed to be perfect for that, says Hashem, until you got your bris, you're not perfect. And so there's what was missing, the way Rabbi Hirsch explains it, is until then, you can have somebody who's the nicest guy in the world. His intentions are the greatest. But his intentions are great, but he's not doing great stuff. No matter how great his intentions are, he still might be considered good. But God expects more than that. He said, the Bris Milah, I won't go, we'll be already in a minute or two. Don't go into details. Maybe if anyone's too interested in this, next Sunday, lots to learn if you want. But he says, at this point, Abraham learned that you can't just have good intentions. You can't just try to be kind. You got to actually be kind. You actually have to make sure what you're doing is successful and taking care of other people. I give one example of such a thing. We have kindness, which comes because we care about people, and then you have another level where we care about people so much that we're going to think about the best way to take care of them and help them out. When I was in 9th grade in yeshiva in high school, there was a funeral, which one of the teachers in the yeshiva, his daughter passed away, and so the entire high school went to the funeral. We all went to the levaya. And when my teacher at the time, my main teacher's name was Rabbi Mintz, Rabbi Zalman Mintz, he still teaches in there Israel. If you haven't gone with me on a Baltimore trip yet, you come with me, then I'll introduce you to him. So Rabbi Zalman Mintz, I put in the plug. He told us how when after somebody comes back from funeral, before you go into a home which has a bedroom, you're supposed to wash your hands. So you're not supposed to go into the house, into the room, to wash your hands. So you got to have somebody bring you out water to wash your hands with. It was a very cool day, and he was telling us how there's a woman in his building who didn't go to the funeral, and she put out water for everyone, but she didn't just put out water, she put out warm water, because she knew people were going to be walking back. The funeral home was down the block from yeshiva. People will be walking back, it will be cold, and therefore, she said, they're going to come back, they're going to be cold, so put icy cold water on your hands after you've been outside in the cold for 10 minutes. I don't mean Atlanta cold, I mean Baltimore cold. It should be pretty painful and uncomfortable. So she had the mindset to think ahead and really put herself in the place of what the people come back needed, to not just put out water. Putting out water was great and nice, she thought of that, but she even put out warm water, the extra steps, the extra putting herself in the place of the people that she was helping in order to be able to do as self as possible. I think we're ready? Ready? So we're going to continue with the Bris now, but that is a lesson in the Bris. It's not just good. It's not good enough to be nice. You got to think about it, be active about it, etc. All right, let's get started. Oh, one more thing. Sorry, Raza. I have some papers on the table over there. A Bris goes very fast. Elisa, do you mind grabbing some of those and just passing them out? A Bris goes very, very fast. So I just put together like a quick outline of what's going on. So you see every Asa, the ball doing certain stuff. You'll see people coming up, going down, what's happening. So there's papers going around. Just have a quick outline, basic step-by-step, what exactly is happening. If you have any questions about it after, feel free to come over to me, or I ask, I'm sure we have to answer them as well. All right.
As well, if you want to follow along in the Siddur, it's on page 224 in the Orange Siddurim. We're told that before the Jewish people leave Mitzrayim, before they can leave Egypt, before they could celebrate each year the Pesach offering, and before they could go into the land of Israel, they had to perform this commandment. And without this commandment, there was something lacking with each individual person and within the Jewish people as a whole that these other mitzvahs were dependent on. So you see the central theme of the Bris, that without it, it is somehow the Jewish people are not complete. So thank God we have today a child born just before Pesach, and he will, willing, we'll all be together soon in Jerusalem celebrating Pesach, and this child will be counted among all of the Jewish people as we welcome him today into the Bris. Ready? Mater Baruch Haba Baruch Hanimol
What are you, bros?
Rabbi Yaakov Zenworth, a long trip down, not to Circle Hills, but he was in Baltimore yesterday, and he made a special trip down for his nephew's Bris. He will be putting on his tallis and drinking a cup of coffee, and releasing the baby. Zaki say, Sasano Kiel myself again the Shalom Rav Shalom Rav Lesazecha the Engel this Hatzelecha. This is the chair of Elijah the prophet, the same Elijah we're going to talk about at the Passover Seder, who we're told comes to testify that the Jewish people are still performing this commandments. Come up from the chair. Yeah, you should take him. Zenworth Senior is honored being our Sunday, holding the baby. Around. Yeah. It's on that note. There you go. Nope. Bris.
Yes.
Adino Eloheinu Melech Olam Asher Kiddishanu b'mitzvosav. Anu al hamilah.
Rachniso Beriso Shalom Avinu.
Simin time, mazel tov, mazel tov, simin time, mazel tov, Freedman will be holding him for the brachas, for the blessings. Hansky. He'll be reciting the brachas. Stein will be holding him for the baby naming. Mr. Ayule Freedman. Uncle of the baby. Naming him.
Declaration by Israel. Mendel Dov, Ben Meyer, Yitzmachov, Yetei Chalaton, Mitzagel Yivai, Freedman Dov, Namadov, Yitzmachov, Yizov, Yimecha, Mitzagel Yilantecha, Benemar, Amar Life, Various, Mitzvah, Benemaya, I should cross this Abraham, which was on the Yisrael, Yamidel, Yaakov, Lachai, Israel, Bris, Elam, and Amar. Yomal, Abraham, and his thoughts were not, Bench, Manas, Yamim, Asher, Tiva, like Sayalihim. I do not take 90 times, either Lam Kanjai. I do not take 90 times, either Lam Kanjai. Mendel Dog, Ben Meyer, the Hakadon Gadol,
Continue with the Mishabara for prayer for speedy recovery for Mendel Don. Yivarach HaSein Avraham Yitzchak Yaakov Yivarach HaSein Avraham Mendel Don Ben Haraf Meir Bishas Bris B'Shem Shenichnas Rav Meir Kanes V'Shvurav David Amar Mazel Tov.
Thank you for joining us, everybody. There's a whole buffet set up by my mother and mother-in-law and father-in-law and grandma and my grandmother-in-law in the back. And we're helped by Kaya and Julie and everyone else who really came on time. I think I saw Heidi back there and some other people as well. And Becky and some others. Thank you so much for joining us. Please feel free to grab Andrew. And Sarah and Ruffle and Yehuda, I'm sure help that as well. Please feel free, there's bagels and stuff in the back. If you want, there's a washing station in the back over there. If you want, if you're close to the kitchen, wash in the kitchen. One request, if you're sitting at a table, go the furthest in instead of taking the seat closest to the aisle if you're the person at the table. Thank you very much.
Everybody, your baby. But which Bible stuff for the channel, I know, right?
I have nights. I went outside. Okay, and it's here. I know, but I just sat down right here.
I just heard that everything else was Mayor talked about the
And that's if it's that easy, I just have to help you a few weeks and I go to my school.
Hi, I'm Lisa.
You doing okay?
I tried to
See you. You got that button? Yourself?
Did you take a break?
I did. Hi. Hour by hour. Mazel tov. Everybody else, good morning. Little grandson did a 4.5.
I know doing what you need to
Okay. This size? These are his. Okay.
So I get that. Sometimes.
That's how I am. I'm waiting to send you.
It's very difficult because I
Never looked.
Teacher workshop. Congratulations. So never going to remember. Oh, that's nice.
Like for 26. So it's like 2 bucks. That was in the trenches.
Okay. How'd it go? Fun weekend?
I don't know. We could do
Okay.
dinner. Only
Survive the weekend. Weren't you having more?
somewhere you found some yeah, just outside the town.
Oh, okay. Get away.
She was texting like 2 hours after that baby. She texted me.
Yes. Do it. I'm gonna go to work. But it's wonderful to see you. Yes, and I have coffee in the car. It's wonderful. It smells
I'll see you soon. Yeah, see you soon.
Should I get more for you? Wipe, it's clean. Hold it carefully. Hold it carefully. 2 hands.
Thank you. I went to Brooklyn.
I don't know what Kyle's name is. Do you remember these stories? How old was he? That he wasn't
We actually it was a day when we were going through some fun in the winter, even though actually, Mayor told me.
I'm there, sure. Love this. So I don't know if she's here. But she, I mean, I'm sorry, I'm sure she's going Yeah.
Want to take a pop?
Click on the load. On the schedule of events is I am going to give a short talk, and then I thought I was going to give a short speech, and then we'll eventually ask over. So if you want to get dessert, feel free to go in the middle of our talking, that second of our talking, etc. My mother is here, my father-in-law, my mother-in-law, staff to them were honored friends and neighbors. As we celebrate this happy event, I want to acknowledge two sad events that recently took place. The first is the fact that anyone who's familiar with the call would have noticed that Rabbi Dave Silverman isn't with us today. It's not because we got into a fight. Rabbi Silverman's father passed away a week ago, and today, a good more than a week ago, and today is this morning is the last morning of Shiva. He even tried telling me, I can make davening earlier, I can make it during times there, Silverman. It's okay. I know you want to be here. It's all right. I also want to acknowledge the passing this past Shabbos 2 days ago of a man who was a dear friend of my grandfather and a dear friend of my father's. And he was so close to my father that my father honored him with sandik, the honor of holding one of his sons during the bris, and that son was me. This man, my own sandik, was Rabbi Ari Neuberger. He happens to be the father of two locals, Mrs. Dina Deitch, whose husband, Rabbi Nachum Deitch, founded the Kollel, and also the father of Meir Neuberger, who founded the yeshiva of the boys' yeshiva high school in Toko. As our family celebrates the joyous occasion of our son's birth, our thoughts and our prayers are with the Silvermans and the Neubergers and the Neuberger families as we go through this hard time. And I've got to say, as I'm sure one can imagine, but first of all, they teach you in rabbinical school is speak short, so I'm going to cut out most of it. I'm going to skip the whole thing about, I actually got in a bit earlier about what Bris symbolized a little bit. So we're not going to talk about Bris Mila so much. I'm just going to share a number of thank yous, and then I'm going to talk about the namesake of our new young Mendel Dunn, my father. I'm not from Mendel Dunn, but not really, I love his songs. So first of all, thank you. Sorry, I'll try. Okay. First of all, thank you. Thank you everybody for joining us. Any simcha without family, without friends is lacking, and Shani and I really appreciate that everyone took time for the busy workday to join us, celebrate with us the birth of our dear son. I especially want to thank my mother, who's here from Baltimore, my in-laws, who are here from Baltimore, and the matriarch of the family, Safta Zenwer, who schlepped all the way down to Atlanta from New York. She was just in Florida, back up in Atlanta, back to New York, back to Atlanta. She does accounting, making all taxis, and we couldn't have picked a better time for her to come down here. And we really appreciate them all being here with us for the whole weekend, helping us prepare this whole bris. And when I was writing the speech, I'm like, they didn't help us prepare it, they prepared the bris, and we possibly helped them prepare it. So thank you so much. We really appreciate all of you being here for jobs with us and helping us out and running the whole show for us. I also want to especially thank my uncle Yitzi Suskin and Aunt Betty Suskin. Yes, Uncle over there and Aunt Betty over there, who surprised me on Friday by letting me know that they're going to be coming down, all the way down from New York to celebrate with us this bris, and as well as my siblings, Yochanan, Shimon, Ramaka, who came in as well. We appreciate all of you making the schlep, and your families, of course, doing making the schlep. And it means a lot to us that you're all here. And of course, an extra shout out to Yaakov Zenor, who got up this morning and surprised us to be here from Baltimore. We had no clue he was going to be here. So thank you very much for joining us. All right. That's the thank yous. On to my father. The heart of this one. So one of my first emotions when thinking about the birth of our son was, of course, understandably, that was a very bittersweet moment. On the one hand, we're celebrating this precious, delicate, beautiful new life that God, that Hashem blessed us with. And on the other hand, one of the primary people who should be here celebrating with us, my father, isn't here. I was not around to celebrate the birth of his 50th grandchild. We're, of course, so happy, but yet it's so sad. That was my initial thought. The more I thought about it, and I thought about how I was pretty clear that I was going to be naming this child after my father. So my mindset began to change a little bit. Of course, we're sad my father isn't here with us to celebrate. But if all we do is dwell on that sadness, then we missed out on a unique opportunity. If we're naming this new child by my father, all we're thinking about is Abba not being here, then we're missing out on using Abba's life as a lesson, as a guide for our own lives. Just as the Torah is not merely Chas v'Shalom, just the history of the Jewish people, but rather it's custom-made lessons that apply to each and every single one of us, every single moment of our lives. Obviously, on a much smaller scale, a biography about my father would also be not just a biography, not just a Freedman family history, but a book that we could all learn daily lessons from every single moment. I could speak for days about what my father accomplished, the different attributes he has had, and I have spoken for days about that during Shiva, especially, and over the past year. When I was speaking to my brother Pesach and Eretz Yisrael this morning, who surprised us by not showing up, he told me that he heard such an idea similar to this, that the first year of Avelos is for sadness, the year of Avelos, and after that, it's time to refocus ourselves and then think about what lessons we glean from the person that passed away. He didn't remember who was the name of, but that definitely fit right into this theme over here. So, but I want to focus. I could speak about my father for these, and I want to focus on one specific character trait that I especially hope and pray will be passed down to our new Mendel Freedman. And that's something that I believe my brother-in-law Yochanan, Rabbi Yochanan Stein, touched upon in his eulogy of our father at his funeral. And that was my father's joy at what I think we would call Emunah Pshuta. Emunah Pshuta is literally translated as simple faith, but I think it's more accurately, if not literally, at least more descriptively, should be translated as almost the exact opposite. Profound faith, deep faith. Not just intellectually knowing that God exists and that He cares about what we do, but rather a deep-seated intellectual and emotional knowledge that God cares about each and every single one of us more than our close friends do, more than our spouses do, more than our own parents do. This was a virtue that I heard my father speak about many times in regards to his own father, who was a survivor of the Nazi concentration camps. I was able to come out of that unimaginable situation. Anything we hear, any bad news you hear about nowadays, obviously doesn't come anywhere close to what you have to go through. This entire family being wiped out. 6 years, hard for a slave, never known he's just going to be shot because he looked at a guard wrong. And my father talked about his fathers had this simple, how do you believe in God after that? How do you have the strength to go on, to keep moving? And my grandfather just had this deep sense. He knew God existed. He knew there was nothing. There was no question. The question didn't start by him. So this is when my father speaks about his father, and it's something which was definitely, I think, 100% was a full attribute of my father as well. Shabbos wasn't just a different day. Intellectually, it was a different day. Shabbos is different. Shabbos is special. That was it. There's no, you don't have to have a discussion about it. Shabbos is Shabbos. You don't have to have if, why is, why is it special. It's Shabbos. It's special. Of course it's special. Prayer isn't just, we have a mitzvah to speak to God 3 times a day. It's a time to go ahead and bond with Hashem, bond with God. Tzedakah isn't just, something you got to do because otherwise the Jewish guilt is going to kick in. It's an opportunity to connect to each other, to our fellow Jews, people who need help, people who need a helping hand. It's an opportunity to reach out to our extended family, grab them tight and hold them close. We need long, great philosophical explanations of why these things are important. It was just, of course it's important. It was just taken for granted. I think that my dear friend, Ben Karp, sat in the exact right spot. I think that my dear friend Ben Karp hit the nail on the head with this. We're having a discussion some time back, and someone mentioned that his son had said to him, "Who says God exists? Who said God loves us?" And of course, as the rabbi in the group of us talking about this, start clearing my throat. I'm going to start, giving some whole discourse about belief in God and how we know it's true. National revelations, prophecies in the Torah, which predictions which was impossible for a human being to make up, and they came true. All sorts of philosophical discussions. And Ben, before I even had a chance to say anything, piped up and said, "How do you know that your mother and your father love you? You have to have a philosophical discussion to prove that your mother and your father love you. So, guess what? Sometimes Hashem loves you too. Not sometimes Hashem does love you too. You just feel the love. That's it. The discussion was over." So that was really what hit me. That was the lesson that my father had been trying to teach me all those conversations about Emunah Pshita. Yes, of course, in Judaism we do not believe in blind faith. We do question, we do ask, we do search to understand, we explore, we don't believe in blind faith. But once we finish that, once we intellectually come to the realization that God exists, that the Torah is true, we sometimes have to sit back, close our eyes, open up our hearts, and feel God's love for every one of us more than we can imagine. So, my blessing to our new son, my prayers for a young, sweet Mendel Freedman, is that he takes a lesson from life of his amazing grandfather and namesake. They learned to feel this love that God has for him. They learned to know deep down in his precious, tiny heart that Hashem is there for him and has his back. That no matter how much anyone in the world may care for him, no matter how much Shani and I love him, his grandparents love him, no matter how much his great-grandparents love him, our love is a tiny drop in a vast ocean compared to God's love and care for him. And Mendel Dunn, give nachas to our entire family, including my father, who knows here with us today, Kun Zohar. Thank you very much for joining us. May continue to share some with us.
As you can see, the motions are heavy. A couple of brief thank yous on my part. Maybe a short Torah thought. and brief story. First of all, I really have to echo something that I said Friday night at a wonderful Shalom Zachar. The first time I ever been to a Shalom Zachar before Shabbos. The pictures are flying around my family WhatsApp. People couldn't believe pictures, and I have to thank Yosef Shapiro for that, for coming up with that novel idea, which was wonderful. I express my thanks to the people of Morningside, to the people of Anshe Sard, and just to the Atlanta Jewish community in general for just welcoming my wife and myself into your homes, into your hearts, whether we've shared a dinner here in your sukkah, whether we've been celebrating life cycle events with Jacob. Everybody makes us feel at home. And we really want to thank you for that. We appreciate it. We're amazed by the depths of feeling of Jewish identity, both here and there. And we're so proud of our son-in-law and daughter who are playing a role in continuity and ensuring that continuity of that kind of heritage that we all share. I also want to recognize Rabbi Pransky, and he's one of the heads of the Atlanta Scholars Kollel, known by its acronym ASK, which is something they always encourage, ask away. And many of his esteemed staff who came here to recognize the role that Mayor and Shani, Rabbi Mayor and Shani play both in the Kollel and the community. They saw Morningside as a wonderful opportunity to branch out, to encourage that feeling of connection to the heritage by investing in Morningside, and particularly in Anshe Sard, sponsoring the rabbinical position here. They really have made a commitment to Morningside, and it's just a beautiful thing. It's in line with the entire 30 plus year history of encouraging Jewish identity and Jewish education, no matter what your denomination is. It's an exemplary organization which really deserves our support. If I could speak about Rabbi Meir and Shani for a moment, one of the characteristics that I believe endear them to their constituents, and in general is emblematic of the ASK in general, is the ability to see the good in every person. If you look at someone, and sometimes you look at what a person isn't, and it's very easy to be negative. Certain people have a gift. They can look at what a person is and treasure them for their good qualities and treasure them for the positive qualities. And that leads to a very welcoming and non-judgmental approach. There's a story they tell about a young couple that moved into a neighborhood, and they sit down first day breakfast in the kitchen and can see their neighbor hanging up their laundry on their clothesline. And the wife says to the husband, "Lady, clothing aren't clean. Isn't she embarrassed hanging up the clothes?" Husband doesn't say anything. Next morning they sit down again for breakfast, and again the lady's hanging out her laundry. Maybe she doesn't like detergent, and they tell her like detergent makes bad machine. And this goes on for a couple of weeks. And so finally one day they sit down for breakfast, and the lady says, "Wow, something must have happened. The lady with laundry is so clean. Did someone tell her what to do? Did someone speak to her?" And the husband pauses a little bit. Says, "Actually, I got up a little bit earlier and I washed our windows." It's easy to be negative. It takes a certain gift to be positive. And I think that ASK in general and the Mayor and Shani have that gift. I want to share, it's customary to have a short Torah thought, and I want to kind of latch on a little bit to what Rabbi Asa was saying. We're about to celebrate Pesach, the time of redemption, and when Hashem was going around the killing of the firstborn Egyptians, what was the merit that saved the Jews? They weren't on such a high level. We're taught that they were on a very low level, as a matter of fact. What was the merit? So there were two commands Hashem gave them. One was the Korban Pesach, the Paschal sacrifice, the offering, and one was Bris Milah. Now I understand the Korban Pesach, because if you know anything about the history of the Egyptian people, they used to worship the lamb. So by taking the lamb and offering it to God, what you really were saying is, I don't believe in the idol worship of the Egyptians, I believe in God. And I understand why that would be a tremendous merit to protect them. But why bris milah? Why circumcision of all the mitzvahs? So I think we need to go back a little bit. As a nation, we received 613 commandments, 613 mitzvahs at Sinai. But what was the first mitzvah given to the Jewish people? Any Jew. Go back in history. The first mitzvah that the first Jew got was the mitzvah of circumcision given to Avraham Avinu, to Abraham, our forefather. That was the first mitzvah a Jew had. When you undertake a bris, whether it was in Egypt years ago, or whether it's here in Morningside this morning, what you're really saying is that you comprehend that you're a link in a beautiful chain. You're part of a tradition of people who understand that life is not meant to be lived for yourself, or for others. Life is not what you can gain for your own pleasures or what you can do for God. And that there's no greater accomplishment than to teach others the beauty of God in this church. This was the merit that God chose to protect the Jewish people in Egypt. The Jew who comprehends it, who live a life with that understanding, that he's just a link in a wonderful chain. That life is truly worth saving, and that's why God chose that. If I can be permitted a drush, Hasidic Torah. Okay. Every letter in Hebrew has a numerical equivalent. The number value of the word bris is 612. We have 613 commandments. When a person undertakes a mitzvah of circumcision, he's really saying, I'm undertaking the commitment to keep the other 612 commandments. I'm part of that chain that leads back to that first Jew who had the first bris, and father and mother who dedicate their son to this thing at 8 days old are making a statement. This is the kind of life that they want their son to live. They want him to be another link in that millennia-long chain, echoing the dedication, the self-sacrifice, and the kindness of Abraham. This boy that I held just a short time ago is named after Rabbi Meir's father. I knew him for many years. We were in the same profession. We used to discuss common issues. I guess sort of like comparing war stories sometimes. He dedicated his life to our tradition, both in his personal observances and his professional life as an educator, ensuring that the girls of Baltimore would be part of that wonderful chain. I still remember my daughter Shani shares the same birthday. And every year there's a phone call in our house or a personal message wishing her a happy birthday from her principal. Every single year. Now, a person who's a principal of hundreds and hundreds of girls can never forget a girl's birthday. I don't remember my own birthday. I wouldn't remember somebody else's. It's amazing. He was someone who always looked for the positive in people. He always tried to find their strengths. And that's really what this message of Bris Milah is about. And this is what endears Mayor and Shani to their community. By naming their son after a person of this kind of caliber, they're expressing their hope, their aspiration, their blessing. That this boy should grow up to emulate his grandfather, to seek to strengthen people, to live a life that bespeaks the nobility of our glorious past, and to be a key player in our glorious future. I'm sure you all join with me as we answer a resounding amen to the Mishavera, both in terms of his physical health, in terms of his growth. We should all join together for many, many happy occasions. Thank you for listening, and once again, thank you for your warm welcome.
We'll have bench in 1 minute. Long I want to sing 1 minute for bench. That wasn't my idea, it was someone else's idea, but it was great. It was weird, but it was great, right?
So, yeah. All right.
Benching is on page number. Well, the venture. If you're in the venture, well, it's not simple because it's on page 85, and then you jump to page 61 afterwards. So page 85. What that means.
לבשר בשורות טובות ניחומים, עם אחד מפוזר מפורד בין עמים.
רחמני שלח לנו כאן שהקשר לקח
אשר קבל המלוכן כסוג השם שיעלם הילד בנמד הטוב היגלה פריסי השעים החיים מהשלום.
Thank you so much for joining us. There's two things I forgot. First of all, I forgot to thank the man, I guess the being is the man of the hour, but the second man of the hour, Vyasa. Thank you so much. Thank you, Vyasa. And I noticed I forgot to thank Dean Rudish earlier, helped set up. I think she might be gone. Thank you, Dean Rudish. And thank you all Mr. President for being here for having the whiskey and Joel. And thank you everyone for joining us. We really appreciate all being here. And continue to share us invite.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. They're like,
One more thing you forgot about. Somebody took your and that was really not for this.
Greg from Green Bay. Greg. Yeah, no, I knew the last name, but your first name. Greg and Linda. Dropping off.
Boys, your grandma goes to school? Everybody wants to see
You're right. We've
Some of us got other things.
No. Oh, you're the other Bris. You're another Bris. I'm Lisa Sear. I'm Danny Frank's sister. Somehow we choose and like we always say somehow there's 4 or 5 still in the house. Right. They just, as long as I count 5 heads, I go train. They house to house to house. There's always a Bris central. Oh, okay. Lisa Sear. So what is your brothers are about to leave and you can take a picture. About to know? I live down the street, yes. Yeah, that's how I know Shawnee. The reason I met Shawnee is they moved here. Shawnee, I've been a year ago now. I lived in these townhouses down the street and I had neighbors who and they went by to see if they were and I guess they were so I opened up and there was I just wanted to see if there were these they were living right down the street. That's how I met them. And then they moved to the house that they're in now. But I lived across the street. But my dad is very is he here? Rabbi Goldberg and my dad. For the wedding. Okay, because that's totally. Well, nice to meet you.
Jewish name, I said, Gedalia. So he never come in.
So nice. So this is another Freedman. I would tell by the way.
I knew it. I'm walking around here.
He looks like a Freedman. He looks like a Freedman. They all have the same. I know those cheeks are amazing. Is this a big smile? He's adorable. For a second, I'll take a picture. I'm gonna hold that. Smile.
Do you smile?
Have saved your best. Everybody's doing well.
My wife
Looking it out.
For coming.
How'd you get that?
It's funny, in the secular world I live in, people rabbi.
Sure.
Because you're like, and I go to shul, but if I make me outside. Everybody except Jacob who knows me, I've been around with no music. That's how come I'm from this building. I don't know. Another Baltimore guy? I studied it. My niece went to
But it was but it was funny, he was
I'll tell Lynn, but probably holding him and wouldn't give it like she's mine. Right, she was
mine.
She was literally like, I ain't moving. Finally, you know, we're on the schedule. Everybody gets
Where you going? Why did your grandmother bring your knapsacks here? Did you find his socks? They were actually
Work? Comes ahead, back to you.
Work?
What's mortgage? Let's see.
So it's being streamed live to.
Wow.
Okay, might as well set for that. I think you got, looks like Jim Johnson. My
Yeah, I don't have anything. Did you go up there?
We've had, and we've never seen a dog get out of it.
I don't believe that.
Some of these women are just.
Nice to meet you.
Okay.
Burrito.
I think without the bottom. Yeah.
No,
I met your brother. He was I was so happy. I mean, I knew yeah. So it's not such a great job.
Thank you. Retirement. I'm not retired. I'm just tired.
She doesn't like it.
Did you get a picture of baby here? Come on.
We have a whole system. This is not that. Where's it? Downtown, Midtown. This is called downtown.
He's younger than you.
What happened here?
Sir, what did you do before? You have a Baltimore?
No.
Yeah.
Israel.
Israel. Okay, thank you.
I guess not. I got an email from Spirit that their lines, security lines are very long, and we should be there at least 2 hours before our flight.
I got the same email on Thursday, and it was no different than usual.
But Atlanta's really bad,
Right.
notoriously bad.
And they have to go to domestic.
In the
And we have to let's check in for the
It's always really not okay.
What?
Daddy says not so.
Came out of the bag.
Right. It was not that here, the front one, wasn't it? But yeah, Yaakov, I think that one's yours over there. Yeah.
This
This is yours.
Right. Oh my God.
That is Yaakov.
Second meeting?
Yeah.
I just happened to come. Some Muslim thing.
Right, I know that. She has a job.
She's working for a living. Someone's got to support her.
Right? No question about that.
Okay.
For the name? Two are single, one's married.
Mental diet.
Yes.
Very good, very good.
My father is fine. And then you go,
Would you like to take a bagel?
Okay.
No, thank you.
Thumbs left over.
Just came. Yeah, that was one person.
Thank you again, Rebecca. I'll give you daughter and son-in-law regardless.
Rebecca, I'm a big fan of your daughter and son-in-law.
Thank you.
I'm their sister, Carol Robinson.
Okay, send them my best.
Well,
Let's just
damn.
see those boys.
This is Donnie. He's just Donnie. My father-in-law's name is
Actually, I
Michael.
had, I've been there for the first.
Okay, very good.
Get them.
It's sort of.
Get them.
You do it again, Rabbi, we can do it again.
Okay. You do alterations also?
No, you told me something once when my first dog was getting older.
Okay.
Any
You should have to small one also.
that does what they're gonna do to the dog, it's not gonna be a Mendel or a. I talked to the adoption agency yesterday. They wouldn't let it play.
Oh, look at Sue's one.
I
didn't
One of them wanted to hold him, and once they held him, she does that. Everything is very cool. See it.
Yeah, I just found.
Okay.
You think it's really good.
I know. That seems like
Is he married with kids?
Yeah, think about that. Arya is very happy. He's got a brother and a kid, but just watching Ruffalo's like, I can't believe he's got it. It was just.
I don't have to do either.
Okay. So, you're welcome.
No security.
Are you staying or going?
Yeah, we did. They did. Everything worked. Yeah, we're just.
I know.
That's good.
And all your kids are.
How are you? Good seeing you.
Very good.
You need me?
Yeah.
No.
Hi, nice to see you.
Good to see you.
Mommy, Mrs. Carter?
You need me. How about your flight? Oh, no, I was going for a long one. No, I love it. Because it's a last night. And then I didn't know you wanted it because Sean, they don't like it. They're so weird. I didn't.
Sad story, but all right, you know, like.
That's how I'm the same way. Leia, can I fix your bow? It's slipping out of your ear.
This gray one first.
I saw one.
What is this? What is?
Mama, do you have any equivalent of laundry baskets?
Yes, the big blue, what's it called again there? There should be a big blue container where we brought everything.
Zero.
Is this anybody's coffee?
Oh, okay, I'm not.
Mom, is your coffee?
I'm sorry.
It was mine, but
Do you want it, Lisa?
Yes, Lisa wants it.
I need it. That's pretty.
We brought,
Thank you.
this one, here, sorry. They're not here. Or is that one? No, that was.
That's how you had to put on the kitchen counter when I came. That's how you had to put on the kitchen counter when I came in.
Ooh. Ruffle, that's a lot.
Yeah,